LinkedIn presents.
You're already public speaking constantly, and you will continue to do so throughout your career and life. The good news? Improvement isn't just possible, it's transformative. With the right mindset and effort, you can grow your skills dramatically.
Good morning. I'm your host, Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, where we serve up secrets to improving your life one big idea at a time. Today, I want to speak about speaking. Public speaking, that is. Now, I know that's a thought that terrifies many of you, but even if you don't love to make wedding toasts or give presentations at work, the ability to speak well can shape your career and your relationships. So why not get good at it? Michael Chad Hoeppner is a former Columbia Business School professor and the founder of GK Training, and he spent over 15 years coaching everyone from presidential candidates to high school students. In his new book, Don't Say How to Communicate Effectively to Live a Better Life, Michael breaks down the myths surrounding public speaking and offers practical strategies that focus on training your body and your mind. He'll share 5 big ideas that will help you become a confident and compelling speaker right after this quick break.
I'm Jessie Hempel, host of Hello Monday. In my 20s, I knew what I wanted from my career. But from where I am now, in the middle of my life, nothing feels as certain. Work's changing, we're changing, and there's no guidebook for how to make sense of any of it. So every Monday, I bring you conversations with people who are thinking deeply about work and where it fits into our lives. We talk about making career pivots, about purpose and how to discern it, about where happiness fits into the mix, and how to ask for more money. Come join us in the Hello Monday community. Let's figure out the future together. Listen to Hello Monday with Jessie Hempel wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you been feeling the effects of stress, burnout, or anxiety at work? Listen to the Anxious Achiever podcast to rethink the relationship between your career and your mental health. Get the Anxious Achiever wherever you find your podcasts and walk away with practical advice you can implement today.
Public speaking is everywhere. I encourage my clients to eradicate the term public speaking from their vocabulary. Whether you're addressing an audience of one or many, you are still communicating, often in public, not in a private, whispered exchange. So I invite you to radically expand your conception of what counts as public speaking. Limiting this perspective is self-sabotage, and it can have catastrophic consequences. First, it robs you of countless daily opportunities to practice and refine your communication skills. Second, it perpetuates the harmful belief that public speaking is a rare, avoidable event reserved for so-called naturals. If this resonates with you, it's time to broaden your lens. You're already public speaking constantly, and you will continue to do so throughout your career and life. The good news? Improvement isn't just possible, it's transformative. With the right mindset and effort, you can grow your skills dramatically. Much of what you've heard is wrong. Far too often, people receive advice about speaking that is unhelpful or even counterproductive. It typically falls into 3 problematic patterns. 1, it triggers thought suppression. Have you ever been told, don't be nervous, don't use your hands too much, or don't rush? If so, you have experienced thought suppression. The human brain is notoriously bad at this. The moment you hear don't, your mind fixates on what you're supposed to avoid, like the classic don't think about a pink elephant instruction. Adam Galinsky, a colleague of mine at Columbia Business School, where I taught for 5 years, studies this phenomenon. When you tell your brain don't, It zeroes in on the very thing you're trying to suppress to distinguish it from everything else. This concept, in fact, inspired the title of my book, Don't Say The title itself is a trick. While readers are drawn to learn how to stop saying the book reveals that the best advice is don't listen to any advice that starts with a don't. 2. It's paired with vague, unactionable suggestions. This dynamic is so common that I've dubbed it the don't general. Here's how it works. After the initial don't, the advice is followed by a totally general suggestion, often signaled by the word just. Examples of these sweeping, unhelpful suggestions are just be yourself, just take your time, just command the room. While these ideas might have good intentions, they lack specificity and practicality. Such advice leaves speakers feeling like failures when they inevitably can't execute something so ambiguous. The truth? It's not the speaker who has failed. The advice has. 3. In the rare cases in which advice is actionable, it is all too often a mental instruction for physical activity. We underestimate how physical the act of speaking truly is. We think of it as a cognitive activity. If I can think of smart stuff, I'll say smart stuff. But it takes more than 100 muscles to do the miraculous act of turning air into sound and sound into words. So if you've heard advice like take a breath or speak slowly and then been unable to execute, you've fallen into this trap. We recognize this in other physical disciplines. No golf pupil would be satisfied with a pro who simply stated instructions but never actually had the amateur golfer practice with a club in their hands. We shouldn't settle for similarly inadequate coaching when it comes to speaking. By understanding these traps, you can stop following advice that holds you back and focus on techniques that truly help you grow as a speaker. Your preparation is probably wrong too. Before building better speaking habits, let's talk about the preparation that comes first, because there's a good chance your current approach isn't serving you. Most people prepare for speaking by writing. They spend excessive time perfecting scripts, outlines, or slides, but far too little time testing those words out loud. This common approach misses the mark for several reasons. Instead of starting with pen and paper or a keyboard, start with your voice. Open your mouth and let words flow out. Here's how it works. 1. Stand up. 2. Ask yourself an open-ended, relevant question out loud. For example, if my audience takes away just one thing from this presentation, what should it be? Or, what is a story or example that illustrates my main point? 3. Answer the question, also out loud. Repeat this process several times. The first version will likely be rough. The second will improve. By the third attempt, you'll notice a refinement in your ideas and delivery. Within minutes, you'll have tested and polished some initial content for your presentation with 3 major benefits over a writing-first approach. 1, you'll sound more natural. Content developed verbally reflects how people speak, not how they write. 2, you'll reduce anxiety. Out-loud drafting fosters a sense of ease and relaxation, replacing perfectionism with spontaneity. 3, you'll begin to internalize your material. Without the rigidity of memorization, you'll already have a sense of what you want to say. Once you've drafted verbally, you can shift to writing, but only to jot down key bullet points for an outline. By starting with your voice, you'll create a more dynamic, engaging, and authentic speaking experience. Rely on your body, not just your brain. Even with better preparation, you still have to deliver in the moment. often while battling old habits that hold you back. How do you break free from ineffective communication patterns and bad advice? What actually works? Over nearly 2 decades of coaching speakers in high-stakes settings, including presidential debates, I've developed a suite of exercises rooted in embodied cognition. These exercises use kinesthetic learning to disrupt unhelpful habits and replace them with new ones. With consistent practice, these new habits become second nature, forming muscle memory that naturally supplants the old patterns. Challenges like speaking too quickly, mumbling, monotone delivery, clasping your hands, or aimlessly wandering the stage are all best addressed through this embodied approach. It's not just about thinking differently, it's about moving differently, even the minor muscle group movements that enable enunciation. One example is a foundational drill I teach in the book that is designed to help speakers master an essential communication skill: pausing. Everyone understands that pauses are crucial. They give speakers a moment to collect their thoughts and allow listeners time to process what's been said. However, the advice typically offered for pausing falls into the same traps I've outlined earlier: thought suppression, don't talk so fast, the don't general, just slow down, mental instructions for physical actions. Take a breath. None of these approaches are actionable, and they fail to create lasting change. That's why I developed a kinesthetic drill called the GK Training Lego Drill. GK Training, of course, is the name of the firm I founded in 2010. The exercise relies on using Lego blocks, sticky notes, or other objects that can be manipulated. You can try the exercise with these steps. Gather the objects you are going to use: Lego or toy blocks, sticky notes, scraps of paper. Determine some content you can speak about for a few minutes. Then, once you are ready to begin, pick up the first object and share only the first idea of what you want to say. You can consider this like a sentence. As soon as you reach the point where a period or semicolon might appear if your words were being transcribed, you must stack the Lego block, or place down the object, in silence. Then, pick up the second block, or object, maintaining silence. Once you have it aloft, you can speak aloud your second thought. At the end of that thought, in silence, stack the block on the previous. Silently pick up the third block. Once it is aloft, speak aloud the third thought. Continue this exercise, sharing one idea at a time with enforced silence at the end of each, until you have shared the entirety of what you want to say on the given topic. Please note that your topic might warrant more Lego blocks than you have, or whatever objects you're manipulating. That's okay. If you still have more to say by the time you have stacked the last block or object, simply unstack them and continue speaking your content, beginning again with the first block. You're probably afraid of the wrong things. Before they coach with me, many of my clients live in mortal dread of the wrong thing, making a mistake. When we are fully focused on our audience and not ourselves, the very presence of mistakes vanishes entirely. Not because we didn't make mistakes, but because we didn't categorize them as such. We seamlessly, fearlessly, and immediately correct the mistake and continue communicating. The relevant thought experiment here is the following. Imagine giving a lost tourist directions. If the moment after an inaccurate instruction left your mouth you realized it was wrong, you would never spiral into self-consciousness. You would just correct the inaccurate information and get immediately back to the task of helping the confused tourist. The same principle can transform your communication life, even in situations that trigger self-consciousness, like big speeches, presentations, pitches, interviews, meetings, events, and more. Instead of relying on the typical evolutionary threat responses of fight, flight, or freeze, I urge my clients to replace those 3 F's with these: fake it, feature it, or fix it. Language like, let me go back a moment, or let me try that again, or put more simply, or, oh, I can't believe I forgot, I also want to say. This is why I titled the chapter that contains these cards, Recovering from Mistakes. Notice that the title isn't Avoiding Mistakes. Mistakes are a when, not an if. They are inevitable. And the measure of your performance as a speaker is not if you make a mistake, which you will, but how you recover from it.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, everyone, if you got something out of today's show, please leave us a rating or review to help others find it. And that does it for us for the week. This week's episodes were written by me, Michael Kovnat, and edited by Caleb Bissinger. The Next Big Idea Daily is proud to be part of the LinkedIn Podcast Network. We'll see you Monday.